This is the Crowdcrux Crowdfunding Podcast with Sal Briggman, where we cover everything you need to know to launch a successful crowdfunding campaign. We speak with proven entrepreneurs who've raised money from the crowd and want to teach you how to do the same. Stay tuned because we're about to reveal how to launch your dream project with your host, Sal Briggman.
Before we get started with this podcast episode, I want to take a second to introduce you to my friends at Fulfillrite. If you need help shipping out your Kickstarter or Indiegogo perks or rewards, Fulfillrite is the absolute best company for you. I've been working with them for a while and I can vouch for their services. They make it dead simple and take all of the headache out of shipping out all of those boxes, all of those orders to your backers and your customers. If you want to check them out, go to fulfillrite.com at fulfillrite.com. Hey guys, welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. We have a two-time successful Kickstarter campaign entrepreneur on the show today. Their first project for the Kosan Travel Packing System raised $96,000 on Kickstarter, which is incredibly impressive. And their most recent project, the Kosan Travel Dress, has raised over $400,000. So they're just knocking it out of the park. They're killing it. You know, they're kicking ass and taking names. And Karyna has come on the show today to share some things she's learned along the way and also to tell us a little bit more about the new travel dress. Karyna, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Sal. Really excited to be here.
Where are you hailing in from? Where in the world are you?
So I'm based out of Toronto, Canada, but I'm actually currently in Costa Rica traveling.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm jealous. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm trying to escape some of the cold winter weather that's coming in through Toronto.
Oh man, yeah, it's actually been really warm in New York City. It's like it's now in autumn, and usually it's usually super cold by this time of year, but it's actually been really oddly warm.
Oh, that's nice. We had a couple cold days before I left, but maybe it's warmed up because obviously New York and Toronto are pretty close. Yeah,
definitely. Hopefully. So you've been having like a wild ride here. I mean, so you're the co-founder of Kosan. And you started this first product, the Kosan Travel Pack System. When did you launch this campaign?
So we launched that one last year. It was in November, I believe mid-November, right before Christmas, which was obviously a challenging time period for Kickstarter, but it was still super successful. We had a really, really great response. We decided to launch with the pack system because we thought, we want to create travel clothing and gear specifically for people who travel. We felt it was kind of a gap in the market where you have clothing for yoga, you have clothing for, mountain climbing, for hiking, all this stuff, but there wasn't really anything specifically for traveler unless you get into, your LL Bean and things that are maybe for an older demographic. Mm-hmm. So we thought, what's the first thing that everybody needs when they start traveling? And it's a good bag or a good system, which is why we ended up launching with that.
And so how did that go? Because that was your first campaign. You got over 300 backers. You raised a bunch of money there. It kind of jump-started the company, it seems like. Or was this actually, I don't know, was this a company that was going on before?
Yeah, no, that was actually our first product, our first launch. That was kind of our soft launch for the company and ended up being the foundation for the rest of our development that we've done over the next year. And that kind of was the foundation we needed to then look at our product development for the Go Travel Dress and the other products that we're hoping to release in the future. So it definitely was our starting point. So just a year old and really excited about where it's taking us.
Have you done a business before or ventured into entrepreneurship before, or was this your first product, a year ago or so?
So this is I'm one of the co-founders. So there's a few of us on the team. This is my first real dive into entrepreneurship. I've done a little bit of freelancing on the side with some small businesses, but nothing really massive like this. My partner Alex actually was one of the co-founders of an intimate and loungewear company called Naked. So he obviously has quite a bit of experience with the ins and outs of a business.
Yeah, I think, honestly, there's always a team behind every great project, and I do want to get into that a little bit later. But totally. Just one other quick question I had here. So how did your friends and your family react when they saw you had this successful campaign? This kind of kindled the fire, if you will, behind this whole new business.
Yeah, totally. They were really, really excited. Obviously, really supportive. I think that they weren't quite expecting us to see the success that we did. Obviously, they see us work on it for so many months and put so much effort into it, but it's different when you kind of see it blow up in 30 days, right? Kickstarter campaigns are really short. So it's incredible to see those numbers come in so quickly. Obviously, we kind of hassled our friends and family the first couple days to really try to get momentum going, which I think is really important for any campaign. Don't knock having your friends and family as your immediate support system. But yeah, it obviously grew beyond that because I don't know enough people to support a campaign that big.
Yeah, me neither. I only have like, I don't know, 500 friends on Facebook too. So.
And how many do you actually know, right?
I know, yeah, just like a handful, honestly.
Exactly.
So I'd love to hear, like, with this new project, I think this is in a different league. Like, your first campaign undoubtedly was successful, but this is like a step up.
Totally.
Not only have you raised over $400,000, but this is also in a whole new category. It seems like people are really responding to it. Do you think you could tell the listeners a little bit about like what the Kosan go-to travel dress is? Who is it for? Just tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, our goal at Kosan is to create clothing and gear for people who travel. So ultimately, I'd love to offer, shirts, dresses, pants for men and women. But when we were serving our community, like we're really big on community engagement. We wanted to ensure that we involved our past backers and followers in the development process. The biggest gap we saw was in women's clothing. Obviously, there's room for improvement with men's as well, but women was really where we saw the gap. So we decided that, a dress that had all these features, that's something that women would want. I personally travel a lot. I love to travel, hence why I'm in this business, I guess. And it's something I've always struggled with, finding clothing that, is professional enough that I can go to a meeting, but also works if I'm just, hanging around and traveling, doing my own thing. And that, doesn't get wrinkled, doesn't smell bad, doesn't stretch
also like that's comfortable, because when you're traveling, if you're on a bus, if you're in the airport, then you're also hanging out with friends, you're going out to dinner, like you want to make sure that it doesn't only look good, but also that you're comfortable when wearing this thing.
Right.
And I think that's a really big part. Yeah.
For sure.
So basically, you and Alex, you guys had this idea, and I think a dress is really different than when it comes to like a packing system or bags or backpacks. So what was like your role here, and how did you do like the split? Like, were you the one doing the mock-ups and design? Were you conceptual? Were you marketing? What was your role here?
So neither Alex or I are technical designers when it comes to fashion. So we, hired the people we needed to bring these ideas to life. And it was a team effort in terms of giving feedback. We did a lot of field testing with different travelers. I personally handle a lot of the marketing side of things. So obviously community engagement, social media, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it was definitely a team effort, but we were big on hiring the talent we needed to bring the vision to life, knowing that it's not necessarily our wheelhouse to design from scratch, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So you're sort of like the project manager there, and just getting started. I think it's really difficult to like find a quality supplier or find someone to make these and to also have that same vision that you did. How did you do that? Did you like look online? Did you have contacts in the industry?
So we have a few contacts in the industry, especially given Alex's background in the industry. We also, one of our designers that we're working with had really great contacts and recommendations for factories as well. We did a lot of research and it's trial and error, right? You reach out, you see if you can establish a connection. For us, it's really important to be transparent about where things are made as well. We actually spent 2 months in Vietnam when we were developing the travel pack system so that we could actually stay with the factory and work with them day over day as we go through all the changes. And Alex is actually heading to our fabric mill and our production factory in Shanghai and Taipei, I believe, in December as we begin to get into production. So for us, it's really important to know who makes our clothing, ensure that they're, made ethically and that everyone's being treated well. So it's one thing to find a factory, but to really foster those relationships, I think it's important that you have that physical face-to-face touch point.
Totally. It also gives you an excuse to travel.
Exactly.
That's always nice.
No one's going to complain about that.
Yeah. You touched on something there. I think like having this digital nomad lifestyle, you meet a lot of different travelers. You meet a lot of different people from really incredible backgrounds. And I think that one of the things that sort of stands out about your product is it looks like you've done a lot of field testing and you've done like getting feedback for that. Do you think you could talk a little bit about that, like how you surveyed your community, how you got feedback on the product? Because when you think fashion, I think a lot of more like the creative side, but we don't focus as much on the business side of things.
Yeah, definitely. So when we decided we wanted to make a dress, the next step in our minds was, what style to make, what colors should be offered in. And while we have our own opinions and tastes and all of that, we felt that who better to ask than our travelers, our community. So we put together surveys. We sent those out ahead of time. So this is months and months ago, and asked our community to vote on what they preferred. And it actually turned out that the most popular choice was the wrap style that you actually see in the campaign now. So we did that in the pre-launch phase when we were still designing. So before we had actually made any of those decisions, we then, once a selection was made, we announced that to our community. So again, to keep them engaged, and then they feel like they're kind of part of the process. They're a little bit more invested at that point too. And then once we actually launched, we've continued that practice. One of the most valuable things I think that has worked for us, at least over the last 2 weeks of this campaign, is we've remained really engaged with our community. I'm responding personally, Alex and I, to every single comment we receive, whether, it's just a thank you for making the dress, or it's feedback, or it's a request for something. We're personally responding to each one, and we're trying to be agile in the way that we respond to them from a design perspective. People were requesting larger sizes, so we were able to release that. Now people are requesting more colors, so we're doing our best to work on that. And we continue to survey our backers in our community to find out what they want, because at the end of the day, I think it's a group effort, and we're making the dress for them. So if we're not listening to them, I think that would be a big miss.
When it came to actually doing those surveys and you didn't design it, ahead of time, how were you doing that? Were you just sending like a photo of what it could look like, or were you just describing it? Like, how did that survey look? I had to interrupt this podcast episode because I want to introduce you to my friends at The Gadget Flow. Their product discovery platform reaches 22 million people per month. They've helped more than 5,000 crowdfunding campaigns thus far, and they have a social media following of more than 700,000 followers. If you want to gain access to their marketplace and list your own product, you can go to thegadgetflow.com/submit and list your project today.
Yeah, so it was kind of a mix. We had an idea of several styles that we thought could work. So we actually worked with an illustrator to draw those 4 or 5 styles we were thinking of, so that it was really easy for our potential backers in our community to envision what it would look like. So we included those illustrations. We just had some swatches of colors. It was really simple, but it was really effective.
Okay. So basically, if you're in the audience right now and you're looking to do that, it's mainly to give people an idea of what these different options could look like, it seems. And in that way, you're actually saving a lot of time, I think, because you make sure then when you go on Kickstarter, it's not like you're just using Kickstarter for validation. You also get a little bit of pre-validation up front, and using that word you said, being very agile about that. The other thing I think it's difficult is like, as you're going through the campaign, you're sort of continually changing and you're continually getting feedback. It's not like you just like launch this thing. It's like this staid, unchanging document. It's like your Kickstarter campaign is changing. It's very fluid, and you're always learning about your customers.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest benefits of Kickstarter, and that's one of the reasons a lot of people go to Kickstarter to purchase product, is because they understand that it's usually pre-production and they can be part of the process and offer feedback early on. Whereas if you just go to a store and buy something, you're paying for what you get. At that point, you have no say. So that's actually a huge benefit to Kickstarter, and one of the reasons we love the platform.
Now, I think there's also like a side benefit to having this personal touch, and it comes into sales. When you have more of a personal touch, there are always going to be people out there that have questions or that are uncertain or aren't sure if this is going to work for them, if it's going to fit them. Did you also use that commenting as like a way to get more pledges and sales?
Yes, definitely. We're always looking to drive traffic, and that personal touch, I think, goes beyond just commenting as one of the co-founders, whatever, and that's not always possible time-wise, but you do your best. I actually shared a photo on the campaign of myself wearing the dress as opposed to just the models that are in the campaign, just to show, a little bit of reality, and to show that I'm a real person behind the brand. And when we're talking about driving sales, I had a lot of people, as I said, commenting about sizing and things like that. So I personally went back and responded to each one of those comments when we released the new size to let them know. And that actually did result in an uplift in sales, which is great.
Yeah, I think one of the differences too of fashion versus some of these other categories on Kickstarter is that with fashion, it's very personal. And it's also very okay, how will I wear this? What will I look like in my life? This thing hasn't been made yet. How do I know this is going to fit? So I think there are actually a lot more hoops that you have to go through than you do with a traditional product. And it seems like you guys have sort of done that with really good imagery, showing a model in many different environments, also showing you. Is that sort of the different ways you build trust? Are there any other ways?
Yeah, that's definitely one of them. We're really transparent about sizing. We try to offer as much information in that regard as possible because that's probably the biggest concern for people when they purchase. Is it going to fit? We set up a specific email. It's called Style Me. And it's basically for people to email in if they need help, if they're between sizes, and we'll actually help them select their sizes so you're not on your own. And obviously, as a fashion product, we also need to ensure that we have a good return policy or exchange policy so that if for any reason it doesn't work, they can exchange it.
Yep, totally. One of the quick technical questions I had for you, and this is kind of interesting just from a structure standpoint. Looking through your campaign page, I noticed that you guys only have a few reward tiers. Is there a reason why you did that, or why you didn't sort of stack it out more like a lot of more traditional campaigns?
Yeah, I think that comes from our own experience with Kickstarter and feeling sometimes overwhelmed by the amount of options. We wanted to keep it really simple, so that if people had never been to Kickstarter before, because that's something that we had anticipated and actually have seen a lot, that they would really quickly understand what's available and what they can purchase. So it was just a matter of keeping it a more simple, user-friendly shopping experience.
Okay, yeah. Because, that was kind of interesting, but it doesn't seem like it actually, I think having more of a simple experience has actually done you guys really good, really good wonders, honestly. Because, your goal, geez, you crushed that thing in the first day.
Yes, we were very excited, and it just keeps growing. And I mean, we love to see that. And the more people that we can get involved, the better for us. And it really means that it'll be kind of a launching platform for us with all our other products we want to do.
So we talked a bit about the pre-validation. I think that's really important. We talked a bit about the need for quality imagery, the way that you're sort of having this people allowed to comment and you can give feedback and you can answer questions. What's been other secret sauce when it comes to getting traffic and really surging past your goal with this project?
I don't know that I would call it secret sauce because obviously there's a lot of talk about it. But for us, I think Facebook advertising has been absolutely massive. It was something that we had known would be a big part of our campaign. We actually reached out to other campaign owners and creators ahead of ours to kind of find out what they thought worked, interviewing them, finding out recommendations for agencies to work with, and we use that to implement our own strategy. So for us, that's been the biggest driver of traffic. Obviously, you need a great product, you need the right copy and assets and marketing to really convert, but at the end of the day, you have to get it in front of the right eyes, and that's what Facebook advertising's done for us.
For that, on that point, you guys then were working with an agency? Did you do any kind of ad yourself, or you just kind of handed that off to another agency?
We handed that off to another agency. We've boosted obviously a couple of our posts on our Facebook page and such, but we're not experts with Facebook advertising and targeting and all of that great stuff. So we hired the experts to do that for us.
Okay, I was looking down. It looks like you guys were working with Jellup, right?
Correct, yes.
And I think they work on a percentage model, where they'll take a percentage of that.
Yeah. So we essentially cover the ad spend, and there are different models depending on who you work with, and you can negotiate depending on who it's with. Some of them will cover ad spend, some won't. We are covering the ad spend on top of a commission for tracked sales.
And with that, did you reach out to them a month before? Did you reach out to them when you were live? When did you reach out?
So we actually, full disclosure, reached out to them on our last campaign. Jellup is a little pickier when it comes to who they work with. They are very selective. And we weren't able to work with them on our last campaign. So when I knew we were going to launch the dress months ago, I started kind of sending them emails, sending them little
Seeding the
tidbits.
idea, yeah.
Exactly. And, didn't really get any like interest at the beginning, but they did say, when you have your campaign page up and running, when you have your video pretty much done, send it to us and then we can chat if we feel it's the right fit. They tend to specialize in advertising for the end of the campaign. So they don't do it as much at the beginning. But I guess they felt that the product was different enough that they could get some traction at the beginning, which is why they hopped onto the campaign with us.
Your video is also like very high quality. So
Yes.
I could see why they'd be interested in it. And also you were getting initially pretty good traction. I mean, I imagine that's from like the Kickstarter community and also probably your existing customers. Is that like where the initial was coming from?
Yeah, definitely day one. I would say the majority of that was, our team reaching out, as I said before, to our friends and family, as well as our community with Kosan, our email list, all of that kind of stuff. And the video itself, we were really excited about. We took a different approach. Last time we filmed it in Vietnam, personally when we were there, but this time we actually sent samples of the dress to 3 different influencers and travelers, and they filmed it for us on location wherever they were and tested it for us as well.
Really?
So it was a bit of a different approach, and we felt that translated really well to the whole travel idea. It was a bit more real that way.
That's a really cool idea. Then you sort of like, I guess, sort of paste all of those together into the master documents. It's like it's almost like you're doing a virtual work with filming, and then you sort of collect it all in one hub.
Exactly. Yep. So they sent us like raw clips, and then our video editor, who is an absolute magician when it comes to editing video, pulled it all together, and we were really, really pleased with how it looked.
That's really neat. Was like when it comes to Instagram, I know fashion is really big on Instagram and Pinterest, obviously. Did that play any kind of role, like some of these influencers being willing to talk about it? Or was that even a strategy going into the campaign?
Yeah, it's definitely a strategy. We actually have a pretty strong influencer and affiliate strategy where we'll offer like a commission for tracked links if anybody wants to share it and post about the dress. It is still, I would say it's challenging because with influencers, they're great to work with. You get amazing content, you get access to their communities, but the sense of urgency isn't always there. So with a Kickstarter campaign, it can be challenging to time it. So we're still seeing some of those things kind of hype up and slowly get released towards the end of the campaign. We've got 3 weeks left. But it is something I kind of say with a little bit of a warning. It's hard to plan the timing of it.
You have a lot of time left. I mean, you have 23 days to go.
Yes.
You're already in a really good position. Like I could see this campaign doing, this could be, I think, a really breakout success for you guys. Because there's always that like
it already is to us.
It is, yeah, definitely. I mean, there's always like the slowing of momentum, which kind of has a little bit of panic in the middle stage, I think. But just the way that people are responding to your product, just my intuition tells me I think it's going to get a lot bigger from here. So congratulations there. But also on this point, like I'd love to ask you, being a female entrepreneur and growing a whole new, fashion line and brand and a new product line for you guys. What's been your favorite part about this? Like, what have you enjoyed most about the campaign and also, putting this product together? I'm speaking to the crowdfunders in the audience who have already launched a Kickstarter campaign or have actually even successfully run a campaign. And the reason is, I think you will understand this pain point most. And that is, when you finally do raise money on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, the hardest part is not collecting the cash. The hardest part is shipping out all of those perks and rewards to your backers. It is a nightmare, my friends. It's a lot of spreadsheets, it's a lot of headache, and it's a lot of stress. That's why I recommend BackerKit. If you have not heard of BackerKit, they help you collect surveys, they help you collect data, and the entire fulfillment process is just so much easier and so many less spreadsheets when you use their software. You can check them out at backerkit.com and use CrowdCrux for a special discount.
Yeah, definitely. There's so many things that I love about Kosan and what we do, but I have to say that if I had to pick a favorite, it would be engaging with the customers in the community, especially on this particular campaign because the engagement's been extremely high. Getting comments from people being like, this is the type of thing I've been looking for, or, I love this, but I would want to make this small tweak. Like, those are the things I live for, and I absolutely love to connect with our community personally. And I know as we grow, that gets harder and harder, but I am savoring our moment right now because I absolutely love it.
We also have, other female entrepreneurs in the audience, I'm sure, interested in fashion, possibly interested in doing their own campaign. What would you say to them in terms of, starting your own fashion line, starting your own company? Any thoughts that you have on that? Like yourself, talking to yourself 2 years ago, when you were just sort of getting started with this business, what would you have told yourself?
Yeah, I think I would tell myself to be patient, both with the process and myself personally. I think it always takes longer than you think. Well, if you think it's going to take X amount of time, triple that. And that enjoy the process because it'll be over before you know it and you'll be at the next step and always going for the next goal. So I think savor the experience and be patient with yourself.
It's kind of like having a kid.
It just takes time. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Enjoy it while they're young kids. Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. I think a lot of really great information. I think the fashion category is kind of underrepresented on my show, honestly, because we've had on a lot of technology like gadgets and gizmos and design products. So really thank you for coming on and sharing a bit of your story, some of the things that were working for you. I'm going to give you the last word here. If you want to sort of end the episode with a word of encouragement, a final tip, maybe something that you've learned, and also where can people go and learn more about your project?
Yeah, definitely. All I can say is have fun with it. Don't take it too seriously. Don't take yourself too seriously. It can be stressful, but it's also super exciting. And just remember, there's all these people out there who are supporting you. They don't know who you are, and they're just believing in you and your product. And that's what makes Kickstarter so special. So enjoy it. If you are interested in looking at the Go Travel Dress, you can look it up on Kickstarter. Simply type in Kosan, Kosan, Go Travel Dress. And obviously, if anyone has any questions, I am always more than happy to chat with any upcoming entrepreneurs, anyone who has campaigns coming up. I've been lucky enough to have some people do that for me, and it's been really helpful. So I always like to pass that along.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, and good luck with your next 23 days.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Sal.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. You got a lot of valuable tips and strategies out of it. You also saw that you can literally have success in any category on Kickstarter. Like you can go from creating a travel packing system to then creating a travel dress on Kickstarter. So there's a lot of wiggle room. I think this is really the beginning of learning and unearthing a base of knowledge which can be applied to many different projects over the years. You can start your business on Kickstarter. You can launch multiple campaigns for different types of ideas and products, get validation, get funding, get customers. It's a really start, I think, of this whole new platform that you can have for your business and getting the word out and also connecting with those customers for an entirely new entrepreneurial venture. When it comes to it also, like my goal with the show obviously is to introduce you to these concepts and strategies, and I try to do it in a fun fashion, in interviews, and also so you can hear from some different success stories that are out there. I also have other stuff out there, like I have my blog, crowdcrux.com. I have my YouTube channel, which if you just put my name into YouTube, you'll probably find it. It's Crowdfunding Demystified YouTube channel. I have a lot of, basically bedrocks of information that I try to put out there for you. The Kickstarterforum.org, my own online forum, Facebook groups. Like there's a lot of stuff, because when I first got into the industry, there wasn't really any of that. And it's kind of sad that you're seeing these people be successful, and then you're seeing many people who are unsuccessful. A very large failure rate, and that's because there isn't that same access to information and knowledge and learning. And that way, people don't know the right way to do something. It's really a shame, and that's why I got started and why I've been so freaking passionate about this thing over the years. But at the same time, there's only so much I can do, with some of my podcasts and blog articles. And you can read one or two, but you're not going to get a full, clear sense of how to successfully raise money with a crowdfunding campaign. You're not going to get a step-by-step sort of done-for-you solution, if you know what I'm talking about. I mentioned at the beginning of the show the Kickstarter launch formula. You can grab a copy of that on Amazon, Audible. You can check out my new Udemy course. You can do that kind of stuff. But at the same time, so many entrepreneurs come to me saying, Sal, I love it. I've already actually bought your book, but it would be amazing if you could actually have a personal look at my project. Could you actually spend time with me on a Skype call, going through my campaign, going through the strategy, and seeing, is this what I'm doing right? Is this a good fit for Kickstarter? What can I be doing better? How do you work with me even longer term? If you're at all interested in getting a little bit of personal attention with me, I'm just a normal guy. I promise I'm not an alien. I'm not some random person online. I've been doing this for a while. You can go to crowdcrux.com/coaching. And that link, you can then fill out my form, which will have some information like, okay, what's your funding goal? What are the assets you have? What stage are you in? That kind of stuff. So I can get a clearer sense of your project. And at that link, crowdcrux.com/coaching, you can then book a one-on-one, one-off coaching session with me. If after that session you want to work with me longer, you like the advice that I give you and such, I'm happy to do that. But it's also fine if you just want to use that as sort of a one-off coaching session and sort of project review. So lastly, that link, crowdcrux.com/coaching, crowdcrux.com/coaching. Thank you for joining me today. Hope you have a great week, and I will see you next time.